folks, I'm Devin Frost, and welcome to History Fo Sho, our weekly news report that covers everything about anything ever. A negative effect of Hawaii opening its borders is a wave of Chinese and Japanese immigrants coming in. This is worrying as they might outnumber the Americans living there and could overtake the economy. I kicked them out personally, but I can't tell the difference between them and the natives. The annexation treaty for Hawaii was headed towards ratification in the Senate until Grover Cleveland came into office and denied the action. This was due to rumors of Hawaii's resistance to the idea and Cleveland's respect for Queen Liliuokalani. I don't really see why, if we can wipe out an entire Indian population, a few islanders shouldn't be such a big deal. While America is trying to annex Hawaii, another island near us is trying to do the exact opposite. Cubans have again risen in an attempt to gain freedom from Spain, and in a misguided show of opposition, they've begun to burn their own sugar mills and cane fields. America would be welcome to bring these people into our country, but I don't think we have enough special education programs for them to enroll in. Recently, the U.S. ship the Maine inexplicably blew up in Cuba's Havana harbor. There are varying opinions in concern to the cause of the explosion, with Americans blaming a Spanish submarine mine and the Spanish citing an internal accident. The circumstances certainly point to the Spaniards' claim. I would have to agree. At this point, I think we should get the entire U.S. Navy adult diapers, if it's so easy for them to have accidents like this. When you get to their age, you can't even trust a fart. While America may be coming closer to conflict with Spain, many of our troops are already at war with the Philippines after the Senate denied the natives freedom. Anti-imperialists and even regular citizens are protesting against this, saying it contradicts America's ideal of liberty. Just give them 30 or 40 years, and then they'll at least be considered 3/5 of a person. I mean, that's how long it took us to acknowledge the blacks and Indians. Due to China's weakened state following defeat by Japan, more and more European nations have gained a foothold there. To counteract their growing influence, our own Secretary of State, John Hay, has issued the Open Door Note. Its intent? To preserve Chinese rights and keep competition fair between invaders and natives. That's a pretty tall order for such short people. As Europeans pour into China, thousands of Chinese immigrants similarly move to the United States in search of work. Many citizens are afraid these foreigners will soon outnumber them. The country will be covered in a wave of yellow terror. It seems fine to give them the worst, lowest paying jobs for now, but what comes next? I don't want to wake up one morning and find a Chinese guy running our government. It's official! The Republicans have chosen to re-nominate current President William McKinley to re-run for office opposite Democratic nominee William Jennings Bryan. The only surprise here is that McKinley's running mate will be none other than Teddy Roosevelt, the cowboy hero.
Howdy, my name is Teddy Roosevelt. I'm interrupting this very important broadcast to tell you a little bit about myself. In this presidential election, I will be running as vice president alongside Republican nominee William McKinley. I'm not the most experienced politician, but I love our country and our people and I want to help in any way I can. If you vote for me, I promise to defend our shores, keep our government strong, and carry on American tradition. Thank you. My name is Theodore Roosevelt, and I approve this message.
Thank you, Mr. Roosevelt. I wish you best of luck in the coming election. Thinking about it now, going up for election doesn't seem too hard. Maybe I'll give it a try sometime. Anyway, that's the end of our news segment. History Fo Sho will be right back with Amy Caldwell after this commercial break.
Hello, we're Experience Hawaii coming to you with a special deal. Visit beautiful Hawaii on an exclusive 5-day retreat. You'll board a luxury ocean liner in San Francisco and spend a week on the high seas. When you arrive at the island, you will stay at a 5-star hotel in the tropical paradise of Honolulu. During your stay, you can swim in the warm Hawaiian waters, visit a live volcano, and learn about the native culture. All of this and more for $200. Just call 1-800-EXPERIENCE-HAWAII as soon as possible, because this deal will not last long.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amy Caldwell, and I'm here today with Admiral George Dewey. Admiral Dewey, when you were waiting in Manila Bay for reinforcements to come, were you at all worried?
Terrified. I was just waiting there, sweating up a storm in those ships. I was very worried.
Were you worried at all that the reinforcements wouldn't come, or that the battle would not end well?
Mostly that the reinforcements would not come in time. There were German ships, and Britain had not arrived at halfway through, and I was very scared.
Certainly. Now, with the Germans there, I heard that you would be perfectly willing to attack the German ships if necessary. Do you think that that would have ended well for the American Navy?
It may have ended well for the American Navy. We didn't lose any people in the war in Manila Bay, but I'm afraid that they might have had pretty good ships that the Spanish did not.
Yes, and I understand that in Manila Bay you had only 6 ships, whereas the Spanish there had 10. Was that at all trouble for you when you were attacking?
Oh no trouble at all. They had terribly manned ships. I mean, those officers had terrible men that just signed up willy-nilly, and their gunpowder wasn't very good. Not to mention, one of them seemed to already be sinking.
My goodness. So, did acquiring Hawaii help in your situation at all? The islands of Hawaii being, taken by the United States.
Well, it helped my fleet a little bit, because we got to stop in Hawaii for a little bit and just stay there before we went to Manila, and it does help the government a lot, having the trade of sugar.
So it's like a kind of the middle ground between the continents, kind of a stopping zone. I see. So, do you think now that we've taken the Philippines, should the Filipinos be allowed to govern themselves?
Eventually. But right now, we are necessary to be there so that they do not fall into anarchy and become open for the old world to come back in and start making a bloody war that we will eventually get roped into doing. So, eventually I hope that they will be able to.
I see. And what do you think of the United States paying the Spanish $20 million for the Philippines?
It's a bit much, but I think it is necessary, considering eventually we will be doing our duty helping the Filipinos get their land and
becoming an actual country on their own now.
Yes, eventually.
Well, thank you very much for your time. I'm here with Admiral Cervera in Cuba. Now, Admiral Cervera, what exactly is your role in the war with Cuba that is currently going on?
I lead 7 ships to the Santiago harbor in Cuba to fight the Americans.
I see. So how did you feel when you were ordered to go to Cuba?
Like we were sailing to our own death. You see, we were far outnumbered by the Americans, and we knew it. But when I sent back to Spain for assistance, they told me, fight for the flag and for glory. Typical Spain.
I see. And now, what was the state of your fleet when you left Spain? Were you ready to take on the 5th largest navy in the world?
Well, when we left, we had 4 armed cruisers, except one did not have battery guns. And we also had 6 torpedo boats. But on the way there, we had to leave 3 torpedo boats behind, and
So 3 of the torpedo boats were just left in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean?
Yes.
I see, so you only had 3 when you actually arrived in Cuba?
Yes.
I see.
And just between you and I, the Spanish Navy is not actually as lovely as it appears on paper.
Oh, I see. So, if you knew that your mission was suicide, why did you continue to fight?
Well, we were sent there. Spain told us to. And like I said, we were told to fight for the flag and for glory. And we came all the way from Spain. Might as well do what we came to do.
I see. So, just wondering, what is your opinion on the war that is going on in the Philippines right now?
It is outrageous. You see, it is obvious why we did not do so well. We were far outnumbered by the Americans, but there the Spanish people had 10 ships and the Americans had less, and so it makes no sense to me why they could not win.
I see. And do you think that the Spaniards will try to challenge the U.S. at all, especially in Cuba?
I am skeptical. We have lost many lives, you see. Already 500 in my own command. And first of all, America, they attacked us, not them. And so Spain is not feeling too feisty right now.
I see. Well, that was Admiral Cervera. Thank you for your time, sir.
You are most welcome.
Do you believe in free coinage of silver? Do you believe in America? Well, I believe that they're one and the same. We cannot allow the Republican Party to crucify mankind upon a cross of gold. As my opponent, William McKinley, wastes his time on unimportant issues, I stand for the working American. Join me in my fight to liberate the American monetary system. I am William Jennings Bryan, and vote for me in the upcoming election. I approve this message.
Hello everyone, and welcome to tonight's installment of History Fo Sho with Devin Frost and Zach Monroe. My name is Tabitha Mueller, and tonight I will be interviewing none other than our illustrious former Assistant Secretary of the Navy and former Colonel of the Rough Riders, our current Vice President as well, Theodore Roosevelt. Let's welcome him to the show, folks.
Hello, your bully audience. Thanks for having me on the show tonight.
So, I'd first like to start with your exploits as Assistant Secretary of the Navy. What would you say was your greatest accomplishment?
Oh, easily having the grit to send Admiral Dewey into Manila Harbor, effectively penning in the entire Spanish fleet in that area and securing the Philippines for the United States.
Now, I understand that you did not have your commanding officer's approval, John D. Long's, when you blatantly disregarded his leadership. Is that true?
Oh yeah, of course it's true. But old John, he was gone for the weekend, so I decided to take initiative, and my plan was actually approved by the president, who he wouldn't dare disapprove of my plan. So I felt like it was perfectly justified.
Now, what exactly justified your plan, besides the President of the United States, who you hold in the palm of your hand?
Oh yeah. Well, the Spanish fleet was there, obviously, so I felt that the West Coast was in danger of invasion if we went to war with Spain, so,
You just took matters into your own hands?
Yeah, basically. We also got the Philippines, which has many natural resources, and I believe in expanding the United States whenever possible, so I feel like that got two birds with one stone.
So you justified yourself by gaining land for the U.S. and ruining a perfectly good island country.
Well, perfectly good. Let's not get too carried away, but yes!
That's wonderful. Now, I also understand that you led the Rough Riders. Could you please describe your leadership role there and what you actually did with them?
Well, yeah, so the Rough Riders, they were pretty hardy characters. A lot of them were old cowboys. Some of them were criminals, but that doesn't matter because these were tough men. A lot of them were better shots or better horsemen than me, but by the end of our time together, I knew, and they knew, that no one else could have led them the way that I did.
Oh, really? There was no other person?
No other person.
Just you, because you're the greatest?
Yeah.
All right, then. And even though you were the greatest military leader for the Rough Riders, how did you deal with the military disadvantages that you were at, strategically, because it was kind of your first time at that point. And also, your eyesight, how did that work out for you?
Well, I used my magnetic personality and political connections to get through any loopholes with that, and I brought about 12 pairs of these bad boys down to Cuba with me, so I was set.
Now, you were set, but I understand that your regiment or your Rough Riders were woefully ill-prepared. Could you please talk about that and why that happened?
Whew. Yeah. So General Schaffner didn't have the guts to stand up to the pressure from Washington, D.C., who wanted him to send our regiment right away, which he did, so we had to leave about 3/4 of the men behind. I mean, not like we needed them, because we were the Rough Riders. I mean, come on.
You were strong. You had you as a leader. What do you need other people for? I mean, really, come on. So it was all on you. And then,
Oh, yeah.
so you led the Rough Riders. How do you think this leadership that you learned leading these Rough Riders, how do you think these apply to your current political stand today?
Well, I think the American people want someone who can lead them, who's not afraid to get stuff done. So, and that's what I did with the Rough Riders, yeah.
So you're willing to get things done?
Yeah.
What about if maybe the Senate isn't agreeing with you, or the American people don't want that to happen?
America doesn't have time for Congress to deliberate. I think the president should lead his people and get stuff done.
So you're saying then that the president should have control no matter what?
Exactly.
No matter what the Constitution says, you think that the president should have all the power and make all the decisions for the American people and for America in general?
Yeah, more or less.
More or less. All right, then.
Probably more.
So, are you considering a presidential run in the next coming years? Or...
Oh, yeah, I'd be a fool not to run for president. I mean, the people love me. I might as well. I can get stuff done in Washington, D.C. I'm not going to cave to any pressure in there.
Well, folks, that's a lovely sentiment, and we're going to end tonight on that. Do you have anything else you'd like to say to the American people who would possibly vote for you?
Oh, yeah, vote for me. I'm Theodore Roosevelt. Thanks for having me on the show tonight.
Thank you, and that will be all. I appreciate you coming out tonight.
It's been a bully interview.
It's been great. Oh, and don't forget your big stick.
Never forget my big stick.
Well, folks, that's it for tonight. I appreciate you watching History Fo Show with Devin Frost and Zach Monroe. Zach Monroe will be here next week.